It's Fully Threaded Radio, episode 226.
If there are rebates paid, I can't really imagine a scenario where rebates would be paid to certain entities and not to everybody. And so my sense is if there are rebates, I think they'll flow to everyone, to all importers. And right now, my sense is I'd put it at, I'm going to say if there's a 70% chance that there's going to be rebates. Then the question is,
I break it down like this, Eric. AI is a huge catch-all term for a lot of types of technology. People know the term Gen AI or generative AI, and now we're talking about agentic AI. I simplify it down to this. AI can always analyze data, and it's pretty good at predicting things. Generative AI creates things. Agentic AI does things.
The goal remains the same. You know, we're trying to get $25,000 raised so we can build 100 beds. It's going to look pretty similar. We're trying to possibly tweak some of the, I'll say the lunch options. But, I don't want to step on toes because Brighton has been so so generous with the food truck. But we were kind of talking about maybe having a little bit of a I'll just throw out there an idea of a brisket smoking contest, just to where people might be able to start that early AM Sunday, and then we could reap the rewards come Sunday when all the beds are done.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH sourcing network. If you buy, sell, manufacture, import industrial threaded fasteners, this is the podcast for you. So glad you clicked in. Hey everybody, Eric Dudas with you, and the co-host of Fully Threaded is with us as well. If I can break him away momentarily from talking to Claude all day, it's Brian Musker. Hey Brian, you out there?
Yeah, I'm actually not talking to him at the moment. We've had a little bit of a breakup, and otherwise everything's good.
Yeah, I heard that. The whole internet is actually trying to talk to him today, isn't it? We'll get to that. We'll get to that when we close out the episode today. But a little bit of a snafu in the AI world today, wasn't there?
Yeah.
That could be because we're publishing this episode 226 of Fully Threaded Radio the day after, at least in the United States, it's confiscation or tax day.
Yeah, right.
So we're recording this on the big day, and it's causing all kinds of situations. So glad you clicked in, though. We're going to stick mostly to fasteners, but of course AI will be another sub-theme because, let's face it, there's a wave happening as we speak. Fully Threaded is here covering it as we work with the fastener industry. But to kick things off, we're going to talk with Jake Valdez Davis and Matt Delawder, he with SWD. And we're going to look at the upcoming MWFA 80th anniversary bash that's happening later this summer. It's going to be a biggie. We actually envisioned this segment to be just focused on that, but we really covered the watershed, so we decided we'd throw it at the top of the episode today, and it's kind of fun. Minimal AI on that one, Bri.
Right. Yeah, no, thank God. I've actually...
But our feature today is a conversation with Nick Pericle of Tenexity.ai. He drops some AI red meat on us as we look at how the fastener industry might address the issue of handling tariff rebates using AI. And from everything that I hear as I talk with people, this might be the perfect application. Very confusing subject. Maybe AI will be able to sort it out for people.
Because we don't believe the government can.
Well, from what we read, they're using tons of AIs. Maybe our AIs can figure out what their AIs are doing.
Yeah, maybe.
Nick also enlightens us on what sounds like a very new development in AI tech, as it sounds like we're coming into the local agentic era. And you'll find out what that means during the segment. Very, very interesting stuff. On the Fastener News Report, Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International welcomes Huyett CEO Tim O'Keeffe. they pore over the new FDI numbers. And I tell you, Mr. O'Keeffe had the luck of the Irish on this one, Bri, because the numbers spiked way up this time. You'll hear all about that.
Good.
Yeah, he's got a knack for that. On the Fastener Training Minute, Carmen Vertullo talks all about fastener straightness.
Wow, the straight and narrow. Interesting.
And he means it quite literally, certainly not in any kind of a figurative sense, I assure you.
Yeah, okay. I was straying.
Marco Rodriguez with Cressa's got our industrial real estate update. This time he looks at the foreign trade zones and how understanding that could lead to invisible cash on your warehouse floor. And let's face it, Bri, it'd be nice to find a little invisible cash laying around.
Yeah, I'd love to find some. It'd be nice.
Well, Marco's got some ideas on that for us.
Cool.
All of it coming your way, all made possible by our partners.
And great friends.
And we're speaking of none other than, to start, are the title sponsors of Fully Threaded. Bright & Best International, tested, tried, true, Bright & Best. And Star Stainless Screw. Right off the shelf, it's Star. Fully Threaded Radio is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Fastener Technology International, Global Fasteners, InSequel Software, Cressa, J-Line Franco, MW Components, Solution Industries, 3Q Inc., Fastener Fair USA, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Worth Industry USA. Bri, Worth is not just a great friend of the podcast, they're also a great friend of the Fastener Training Institute.
Yes, they are, and they've been supporting it for many years.
They have indeed. They are sustaining partners of the Training Institute. We always like to remind everybody about that. So I don't know how long this one's going to go. I kind of lost track of it. It's been a blur since the last episode, to tell you the truth. And I saw, Bri, that you and the lovely and talented Lynn Dempsey made it out to a Naperville Fastener Association meeting in the interim.
Yes, we did. Largely organised by the travelling salesman, which is quite often the reason we have these meetings, because he just comes into town.
Yeah, he's the instigator many times.
Yeah. But it was actually a fun meeting. And we had two people from Aztec Locknut Company turned up, none of whom we've seen for a long time. And they just happened to find the notification about the meeting on LinkedIn and turned up. It was really good. We had a good time, actually.
Cool. I wasn't able to make it, but I did get consulted by the Form and Function Award Committee, and I think we got a pretty good winner for this year's honor. I don't know, did you get in on that conversation at all?
No, I didn't. I know it was sort of going on, but it was a little bit out of my hearing.
Yeah, it can be a little hush-hush, but you'll find out in August, Bri, don't worry.
Okay.
It's going to be a good one.
That's cool. Conversation was really also around all the exciting things that the Midwest Fastener Association has got organised for the big anniversary at downtown Chicago.
Well, we're going to be talking about that during the next segment. What else?
Yeah.
Give me some dirt here. Give me something juicy.
There's no dirt. There's no dirt.
Well, I scan the Naperville headlines from time to time. You know, it being my old stomping grounds, I didn't see any of your names appear in the police blotter, so I guess it was a relatively mild meeting this time.
It was, yes.
Always good to hang out with Fastener friends in Naperville.
Cameron was there, and the traveling salesman had a guy from MW Industries there, and Matt Delawder was there.
Good to have friends across the industry, one of them being Solution Woman. I'll drop right here at the top that I received a brand new Solution Industries hoodie. Thank you, Solution Woman. Came in the mail the other day. I was quite surprised. It's looking very sharp. You know, Solution Industries used to be famous for all their swag.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of it. Well, now I got a new hoodie to add to the collection. So very much appreciated.
Solution Woman.
Yes, otherwise known as Laura.
Yeah. Right.
Very, very cool. And this is going to be a very cool episode of Fully Threaded Radio. We're so glad you clicked in. We appreciate it a lot, and we hope that you will subscribe and maybe even leave a review if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple or one of the other platforms where that sort of thing happens. We're supposed to be asking you to do that. Here we are doing it. And I know lots of times people just share the podcast by word of mouth. That's really helpful for us too. Thanks so much for doing that. We're going to jump right into this segment with Valdez and Matt Delawder when we return.
Right.
Just can't get away from those NFA members, can you, Bri?
No, I can't.
It's Fully Threaded Radio.
Talk radio for the fastener industry. It's not really all that bad for the most part. Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio.
Stainless Stan here from Star Stainless, proud to be part of the LinFast Solutions Group family. If you're going to Fastener Fair USA, come see us at booth 103 and meet the LSG family. From Star Stainless and Solution Industries to Stelfast, Lindstrom Fasteners, and beyond, you'll see how our brands come together as one solutions group, delivering smart inventory management, dependable fasteners, and solutions that move your business forward. LinFast Solutions Group, one family, endless solutions.
Are you tired of empty promises from software vendors? Are you paying for support that you're not receiving? Is it time for another paid upgrade? There is a solution. InSequel delivers quality software designed for the fastener industry at an affordable price with industry-leading support. INXSQL.com.
Need weld fasteners? Look no further than Brighton Best for a full lineup of weld fasteners. Stocked across our regional warehouses and ready to ship today. What's available? Headed weld studs from 3/8 up to 7/8. CD studs in mild steel, stainless steel, and aluminum, both made in the USA. Weld nuts in multiple styles including hex and spot weld, both domestic and import available from stock. Looking for something we don't stock? Our mill sourcing team has you covered, including parts made to print. Your account manager is ready to help, or visit us at brightonbest.com and get what you need.
Hi, this is Deb with 3Q Inc., your source for a wide variety of U.S.-made parts from the heart of the fastener industry. You're listening to Brian and Eric on Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you, talking about all things fastener related, not including AI, right, Brian?
Okay, yeah, we God forbid, don't mention that.
Been getting a little bit of flack on the amount of AI on the podcast lately, but hey, it's here to stay is what I'm thinking, you know?
I talk to Claude every day or so.
Everybody knows that, Brian. All right,
sorry.
In the interest of moving in that direction, we decided to have a little fun, and two guys who personify fun, especially here in the Midwest. I'm speaking of none other than from SWD, home of the Black Ox, Matt Delawder. Hey, Matt.
How you doing? Great to be here.
Glad to have you.
And also from BTM Manufacturing, Jake Valdez Davis.
What is up, my brother? Brian, Matt, It's a pleasure to join you guys, and I'm pretty good at lightening things up. So
really good. And making coffee.
Do my best.
Yeah. BTM and coffee, okay? BTM Manufacturing. Right.
Yeah, just think of BTM first and then coffee second is all I ask.
I always do, yeah.
Well, the coffee's okay, but that coffee rub is phenomenal, I tell you. Eric, you need to put that on brisket.
Ooh, yes. Matt, thank you. Now you're turning the conversation to something that I think a lot of people can get into. We've got the NFBBQA news coming up later in the podcast, but thank you for that. And I do like that rub. Jake, you set me up with some, what was it, a couple seasons ago? I love it.
Absolutely. More will be on the way.
Nice.
More will be on the way for Brisket Fest. So stay tuned.
Okay, yeah, we used it too. It's good.
It's by far the most used steak rub in the industry, in my opinion.
Okay. Not that you're blowing your own trumpet here. Okay.
No, and I have no data to back that up, Brian. So it's just.
Hey, I'm dealing with someone who deals with data all day long, okay?
I actually just asked ChatGPT what was the number one steak rub in the bolt nut industry, and it said U-bolt blend. So there you go.
Oh, really?
Jeez.
And if you believe that.
Yeah, I priced about wood.
That's it. No more AI, I promise.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Bry's feeling pretty good right now. He thought he would be the only one who kept stumbling into it. Is AI taking over the heat treating industry like it is everything else, Matt?
Yeah, well, actually, the good heat treaters and metal finishers have been using AI, but for production schedules, maybe to help them with tracking customers. But the equipment is still really not there. And I'm going to tell you that the majority of the heat treaters and the platers are not there. you're lucky with some of them that they've invested in the last 10 years in anything. So
Yeah, I didn't expect to get an answer other than that. Okay.
yeah, that might have been a little mean of me. So
No, no, a little honest is fine.
But a lot of companies are looking at what you can do with AI, although we're not anybody on this podcast, because that's not the direction we want to go.
No. Do not mention AI, okay?
I know nothing about Claude.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I won't.
To stick to tariffs and brisket, and we'll be good.
We've got some tariff rebate news. The problem is we just don't know anything about it, so we really don't have anything interesting to say. Anybody got any tariff rebate intel that they can dump?
I got a bit. I was in San Antonio a couple weeks ago for a Farm Equipment Manufacturers Association show conference, and I went to the tariff update and sold standing room only. Just completely packed to the gills. And it's certainly is a smaller association. However, like I said, standing room only. And they had another speaker at the same time, 145, that was on property and casualty insurance. And I sat there the whole time listening, just feeling so bad for those two guys, because I didn't feel like out of the size of the association, 90% were probably in this tariff room trying to get this update in a matter of 45 minutes to an hour, and jotted some things down, but it really, for looking at it from a BTM side and a distribution side with ISCO, it came down to supplier of record, and the gentleman just kind of went through just what had been decided from the courts and jotted some things down. I didn't feel like I left any smarter, but that's I at least have some notes on paper that I can go back through as we kind of try and make a little bit more sense of it.
Now, what was the competing session you mentioned? That guy who had 6 people in the audience. What was the subject?
Well,
of that?
I don't know. I don't want to. It could have been much more than that. It could have been 12 or maybe even 24. But it was property and casualty insurance. Manage your risk. So yeah, some long-term supporters of FEMA with Century Insurance, but I just, based on the volume of people that were crammed into this little this room, I felt, man, I hope somebody went.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, it's obvious where everybody's attention is these days. From what I've heard, a lot of customers are expecting these rebates, even though it's not altogether clear on what that means for the suppliers, so everybody's jamming into those sessions. But I'm sure you guys have all noticed at our Fastener shows, sometimes you get 6 people sitting in the audience during one of these breakouts. You're doing pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's the fastener industry. Was the hall carpeted?
It was.
Oh.
Much smaller association, and just certainly a niche part of it. And BTM's been a long time member of it. So, had a small little show for about 3 hours on Thursday, and I would say maybe 40 to 50 tables, but just an opportunity to see some customers. And just like I said, it's very similar to the Fastener shows, just a smaller scale, but opportunity to say hi to some customers and meet some new.
How many associations are you in? So there's the MWFA that I know of. There's NFA, right? Naperville Fastener Association.
Yeah, Naperville. Still waiting on be able to GQ somehow. Just we can't line up schedules. Every time I suggest something, he seems to be in Taiwan or on a ski slope or something. But yeah. MWA, Naperville, PAC West, NFDA, Southwest. Actually headed there in a few days for their conference, back to San Antonio for a couple days. And yeah.
No North Coast there, Jake?
I don't think I'm a North Coast. I need to get in touch with them and see. I have in the past, and I probably need to talk to the higher ups and see if I knew of anybody that lived in that area. Wait a second.
Right. The Naperville Fastener Association is having a meeting in the Empire Bar tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that, and again, I can't make it, so that goes hand in hand with their scheduling.
Okay.
But I do love all of them, and I wish them the best, and I hope I hope that they vote on some very important stuff tonight.
Yes, clearly you have not made it to an NFA meeting, Jake. Not IFI, though. Matt, you're an IFI guy.
I am, yeah. No, I was just actually at the IFI conference in Scottsdale at the beginning of March, and it was actually a great conference. I hate to say it's one of the best that I've seen, but it was a really nice conference. And they actually had the Soaring Eagle Awards, which we got to see Ken LeVay from Mule Technology. He used to be at ITW Shakeproof, has over 26 U.S. patents, many of them for different fastener thread types and things like that. And then the owner of National Machinery was also given a Soaring Eagle Award. So it was a wonderful event. Really well attended. I think it was one of the best attended. I think they had over 150 attendees.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Now, I will say, Eric, Preston is doing his job, because we have talked probably a couple times every year for the past 3 or 4 years about becoming a member of IFI, and there's always been mutual interest from both of us, and it's just the timing thing. Almost every spring IFI conference has ran into a Pac West on their spring conference, or they overlap to where you might be gone the entire week. And Matt's able to pull that off. He can miss, a good 7 to 10 days of work, and that place keeps running.
I typically miss 10 days a week. Yeah.
But I get a little bit uncomfortable if I'm gone that long. So.
No, I'll tell you, but at the conference, we typically have Salim Brahimi, who many people know as really kind of taken the place of Joe Greenslade in the industry as far as being the guru of fasteners and definitely of hydrogen embrittlement. Always gives a great talk. Just there's so much to hear and so much to see. As a matter of fact, IFI was a sponsor earlier this year. Eric, you and I saw each other for the first time this year. I think it was in February at a Golf Zone event where IFI was helping to sponsor. They brought in a speaker from Marshall University to talk about apprenticeship programs for manufacturing as well as for distributors. And I think it was, again, really well attended. And the talk, I think people were amazed this was available to them with the grants and giving them the opportunity to have someone brought in and trained as a apprentice.
Those people from Marshall are on fire for their mission. And they're very well funded from what we learned at that presentation at the MWFA that night. And I mean, they're just handing it to manufacturers on a silver platter, literally. They've got the whole framework for this program. It's all very customizable to your exact operation, and it's really all paid for. I mean, why people would not do this is beyond me. I think they're presenting it out there. I think they're going to be wildly successful with it.
Yeah, and we have to thank Preston Boyd for, again, Jake's absolutely right. Preston is killing it out there. And
he's a machine.
He brought this to our attention and wanted to do a joint meeting with us and got us the speaker. So it was an amazing event. It was great to see IFI working with, a regional organization like the MWFA, even though, we're called the Midwest Fastener Association, but we like to think of ourselves as the North American Chicago Fastener Association.
Do I sense a name change, Matt?
No, yeah.
Hey,
no, I'm going to get myself in trouble for that too.
You are. I do want Eric, just kind of circling back to Salim, your recent interview podcast, FDR Unthreaded, with him was just very personal and insightful, and I enjoyed it. I think both you and I had him for the week-long, Fastener. Training week, Fastener Training Week, and he's just such a soft-spoken. When he's not teaching, he's just very soft-spoken, and I just enjoyed, that. It's just, like I said, very, very insightful. I want to go skiing with him now. I'd like to go to his place. I'm hoping for an invite, Salim.
Yeah, but not in Iran, hopefully.
No, but. We can do Canada for sure.
Yeah.
But I would just, listeners to the Fully Threaded Radio podcast, go listen to that. It's a great hour of insight to just as, we all know what Joe Greenslade meant to our industry, and Salim is right up there with him, and he's just. I found it fascinating, and I appreciate you doing it.
Well, appreciate you saying so. And we did get a lot of very positive feedback on that episode. It's still hanging out there. It's the one that we just dropped before this one that we're producing right now. So appreciate that, Jake. While I was talking with Salim, I had one of these brainwaves like I am known for. And it was, why don't we create a Joe Greenslade Award? And the trophy would be a pair of really obnoxious, kind of like Elton Johnny glasses. What do you think?
He did like to have nice, funky glasses and a funky watch. I mean, you could probably pull that off.
That was the thing about Joe Greenslade. He was this guy. He looked like he belonged at Mission Control in Houston, like circa 1969. He was like one of those white short sleeve shirt, pocket protector kind of guys. But yet he had the most crazy glasses. It just always struck me as funny. I tried breaking his balls a little bit about that one time. It was really funny because he had no idea why I thought that was amusing. But that we never really got off to a very good foot. But anyway.
I could see him kind of looking at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, pretty much. If he could only see me now. Sorry, Joe. No disrespect intended. I mean, it was just kind of my way.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Or not, or not.
Yeah. I like that. Be creative in the awards out there. Have a little fun. That's so
cool. Eric, I'm going to get in trouble with the board of the MWFA if I don't start talking a little bit about Fastener Week. The one with no vowels.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you're adding vowels this year.
No, no vowels. It's Fastener Week, and it's going to be awesome. It's coming up the very end of August and into September 2nd. But we're actually hosting it in Chicago at Navy Pier this year. It's going to be like nothing the industry's ever seen. And hopefully we'll continue to be able to do it in years to come. But Jake's actually our golf chair. And, I guess it kicks off with an unsanctioned Tough Nutter event on Saturday.
Yeah, each and every year we try and get it sanctioned, but it gets voted down just due to the Arctic enema.
So there were I think over 50 people who participated in that event last year. Again, doing this Tough Nutter mutter race out in Rockford.
Well, how many do we need before it qualifies to get sanctioned?
I think it's the insurance company that in the waivers that would be required, I think, is the bigger piece.
It's worse than the Straits of Hormuz. Seriously, is that it? I chalked it up just to miscellaneous acrimony on the board.
It could be that I don't like to run, but no.
That's the unspoken thing that we were just going through.
What if we get sequin jerseys this year?
Yes, blazers, sequin blazers, Matt's in.
Yeah, there you go. I would do that. Oh, sorry about that.
All right, you were very skillfully turning the conversation to promote Fastener Week, and we just diverted you. So let's get back with it, because that was the main reason that we dreamed up this segment to begin with. But it is a great week that's coming up. So let's set the table again here. First of all, what's the date we're talking about? Late August.
Yes, it's August 30th through August 2nd. August 30th, we start with the Sleep in Heavenly Peace bed build. And actually this year it's going to be hosted at SWD. And then we go right into the golf outing. And this year the golf outing on August 31st is at Cog Hill, which is a premier course in Illinois. And actually, I believe it got rated one of the top 10 public courses in the nation.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to get out, really, honestly, kind of, if you remember, Matt, it was pretty late fall, and we just had an absolutely beautiful day. Got to go kind of just check everything out. With golf has always been popular with Fastener Association events, and we've always enjoyed our time at Lincolnshire the past 2 and 3 years, but with it being our 80th year of the MWFA, we wanted to be able, but we also ran into a problem where 144 golfers was our max, and we always got there very quickly. And then, golfers and friends of the industry were put on a wait list, and Cog Hill allows us to be able to honestly take over 2 courses.
2 of their 4, so we could grow this thing as big as we want.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to do the math to see how many golfers that would be, but two 18-hole courses at the same location there at Cog Hill. As Matt said, golf's on Monday this year, so kind of starts our week. 9 a.m. shotgun start. That's certainly a little bit earlier, just based on the course and location. That's kind of what worked best for the association. And come one, come all. We are hoping to break records with the amount of golfers / hackers that will be joining us on Monday.
Yeah, the more hackers, the merrier. That's what we say.
Hey, watch it. We can only afford so much Busch Light.
Right. Yeah. There is a limit.
On Tuesday, we're going to be doing something a little different this year. We've had people come and do talks. This year, we're having a keynote speaker in the morning. I'm hoping most people will attend that. And then in the afternoon, we're going to have breakout sessions with probably someone on, something like AI.
Really?
Probably.
Yeah, introduction to AI, Eric.
And maybe something on how to get tariff refunds. I mean, who knows? We'll see where we get to by August.
Yeah. They may have worked out the accounting by then. I cannot possibly imagine the federal government did any accounting for any of those tariffs.
Oh, I can't imagine either.
I'm sure it just got dumped into the federal fund. Okay. No one cared.
On that Tuesday night, September 1st, we've taken over the entire Spirit of Chicago ship. I'm not going to call it a boat; it's a ship. It'll host over 600 people on this, where we'll have dinners, dancing, and cocktails, of course, because that's what you get in the fashion industry. But that's right off of Navy Pier as well. So there's a hotel right on Navy Pier. That's part of this. We're really trying to do something special here, and I'll give credit where credit's due. When we went to Fastener Fair USA in Cleveland a couple of years back, the North Coast Fastener Association had put together a boat tour.
Yes,
right.
It was phenomenal and made everybody on the Midwest Fastener Association board said to ourselves, why aren't we highlighting Chicago? We do all these things in the suburbs. We have this phenomenal city and we never show it off. So this is our chance and we're going to show it off. So I'm going to, again, thanks to the North Coast Fastener Association for putting together that phenomenal boating event a few years ago at Fastener Fair. We're doing the same thing, except hopefully bigger. We'll be out on Lake Michigan, like I said, dinner, dancing, and just a great time to be had.
So what's the dress code for this, Matt? Because the Midwest Fastener Association is the best dressed of all the fastener associations.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah. Bob Bear is probably going to wear a suit, but the rest of us,
there's GQ level, and then there's everybody else. So
I think polos and even shorts, I think would be fitting at the end of August here. So I'm going to go for business casual.
I cannot imagine GH3 in anything except special shiny diamond shoes. Okay.
Well, yeah. Yeah, GQ. Well, that's the great thing. You never know what you're going to get with GQ and GH3. So they're a combo.
Well, Matt is no slouch, and you always show up looking like you're ready to kill too. So,
dress to impress.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, you have that reputation for a reason. That's all I got to say. Well, I will say right now that if the local authorities will permit it, Brian and Eric, the fully threaded radio team, are going to be sponsoring the Coho Salmon trolling event on the back of the vessel.
Absolutely.
Because we didn't get to do that for the walleyes on Lake Erie due to some sort of, I don't know, it was just some red tape we couldn't get through. I'm hoping the MWFA board is going to let that, green light that one.
I'm glad you brought it up. I think that's a phenomenal idea. We might have to put you out in a dinghy or something, but I think you should absolutely be going for some.
Yeah, Eric, you guys get in a dinghy, you could record. For maybe 30, 45 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'll record Eric can row.
No, we'll pull you guys.
Oh, okay.
Right, we don't do dinghies, but I mean, we could bring the Ranger.
You could. Right. Right.
We'll work on that.
Anyway, look, the setting is astoundingly great. Anyone who's been near Navy Pier, you sort of see the whole of Chicago skyline all around you, or not on one side of you. It's a terrific place to go.
Well, so then on Wednesday, we're actually doing the Fastener Show. And every year we hear from people at every trade show we go to, and I think this is pretty much everybody in the industry, is like, we want a one-day show. and we want to be able to do it all in one place. And so that's what we've tried to put together. So we're going to be in the Grand Ballroom at Navy Pier, which most people have never seen. And when you see this thing, you are going to be amazed. It was built in the 20s. It's beautiful Art Deco. And it's also going to be going with our theme that night. So we have the show starting at 10 a.m. going to 5 p.m. And then at 6, we have our Hall of Fame dinner and awards banquet, which is, our Fastener Bash, as we called it in the past. And we're going with a Chicago theme of gangsta.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah, we're expecting to see you guys in your zoot suits, your pinstripe suits, and carrying your violin cases, and maybe some hooch.
Oh, so you're thinking like more like Al Capone gangster, not like insane gangster disciples from 95th Street.
Yeah.
No.
Roaring 20s. Prohibition.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Now, those are Chicago. You may have to make the distinction, Jake.
We'll be much clearer.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know that. That would be a terrible. Well, you know what? If someone wants to dress like a gangster like that, that's cool.
The insane Coho Lips disciples, we don't want to show up like that.
No. Please. Please do, actually. It'd be all right. We're all about having fun. And then, believe it or not, on Wednesday nights at Navy Pier, they do a fireworks show. So we're going to get a fireworks show starting at 9:30 that evening. I mean, so we're going to have music, dancing. We're pulling out all the stops.
Wow, that sounds terrific.
I think I just want to, being on the board and being involved in this, and Matt's certainly the ringleader around the 80th, and his passion for it. And I think you can hear it in his voice, and the board that we have, certainly pulling off an event like this it's exciting, but there's a lot of behind the scenes, so much behind the scenes. And I just want to take a moment to commend just the entire board, our executive director, Francesca, of course. And it's been amazing to watch it. Just even when we started talking about it, really, Matt, October, November of last year, and starting putting things in place. And we just, we want people to get excited about it. Certainly it looks the same, but it's bigger, better. It's just a lot of exciting content. We're going to have a blast with everything that we do. And like I said, I think we're all going to leave really excited about, what the future of the show with no vowels, what that week looks like.
Well, and what the industry is really. I mean, because this is a Fastener show being put on by the industry. This isn't a trade organization or a show organization strictly that's putting a show together. All this money goes right back into the industry, typically through our scholarship donations. And we have people like North Coast Fastener Association and the NFDA, and I believe Pac West and IFI, who are going to be sponsoring different parts of the event. I think even Wi-Fi is getting involved. We really want everybody to get involved and make this I'm not going to say a national show because it's not, but we want this to be embraced by the fastener industry because it truly is for the fastener industry.
No question. You guys do a wonderful job, and you got a lot to be proud of. A lot of people are going to show up, so I'm glad we're promoting it right here. Let's roll back for a minute. You let it just kind of whiz by, but SWD is hosting the Sleep in Heavenly Peace bed build this year, which is super awesome. Thank you for doing that. What do you have planned for this? I mean, this is a big, big group that shows up. We've been doing it the last couple of years at the hotel. You got a big enough parking lot for this thing?
Yeah, no, we do. We have a huge parking lot that we're excited to have. I think we're going to have well over 100 volunteers this year. I know my whole team is extremely excited to be able to participate in other years past. It's an hour away for a lot of people on a Sunday morning, and it's not as easy to get to. So,
yeah, just to speak to it, Eric, we kicked around a couple, with us not being in Lincolnshire this year and going downtown, we knew downtown was really kind of out of the question as far as trying to get logistically a bed build, scheduled in that. And, Matt, God bless him, was early on said, if you need my place, it's yours. And we kind of looked at a couple different places, different fastener, houses, suppliers and that. And it just felt, just based in Addison where it's at, kind of centralized. People can come from, really, north, west, south, and we could all meet there. And the goal remains the same. We're trying to get $25,000 raised so we can build 100 beds. It's going to look pretty similar. We're trying to possibly tweak some of the I'll say the lunch options, but I don't want to step on toes because Brighton has been so so generous with the food truck. But we were kind of talking about maybe having a little bit of a I'll just throw out there an idea of a kind of a brisket smoking contest, just to where people might be able to start that early AM Sunday, and then we could reap the rewards come Sunday at 2:00, 3:00 when all the beds are done. So there might be a few guys and gals that are partaking in that, but that might just kind of be on the side.
Yes. So, I like this, Jake. I think some of the guys on the board of the NFBBQA got wind of this, but I didn't actually realize that it was going to happen.
Well, like I said, I'm putting it out there. Matt and I might be have some lashes at the next board meeting, but
it'll be worth it. It'll be absolutely worth it.
We've talked about it. We just haven't made anything official yet. So, but it's a possibility. I'll just say that. So stay tuned.
Okay, we will.
But what a great cause, the Sleeping Heavily pieces. And, it was the guys at Parker and Jake brought it to the MWFA. And I think is this our sixth, Jake?
I'm getting ready to have my sixth here in Kansas City. I would say it would maybe be our fourth or fifth at the most.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know Parker just had theirs a couple weeks ago out at their area, and man, I think they did 250 beds. They partner with a large church in the area, and just to watch the video and see that, and they build beds, they deliver beds, man, it's a beautiful sight. And the Fastener Bed Challenge just continues to roll on. I know, Craig with Eurolink is a proud supporter. SFA has done bed builds. I mean, it's like I said, never, 5-6 years ago when we started talking about it, thinking about it, that we would be here. And I know others have done it, probably under the radar as well. I know a cool hand, JB, John Butler's, Martin and them are involved in it, and even starting a chapter. I mean, talk to that aspect of it. They so passionate about it, they're starting a chapter in a town, I think, in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's such a great cause. I mean, I had no idea until you brought it to our attention. I had no idea how many children go to bed every night without a bed. I didn't realize how blessed I guess I am, and I grew up. But it's amazing to be able to help people out and bring the whole industry together. And talking about Brighton Best, I believe they donated the fasteners for our bed build last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
And gloves and everything. And
gloves. I mean, GH3's been, and actually in probably the first one, he was actually cooking.
Yep, you're right.
So
yeah. If we could only get him to show up a little bit earlier, but
Well, you look under the hood on all these types of events, and you see that the industry is a lot of generous people, and it's good to see. It's good to participate in. And of course, the bed build is going to kick off Fastener Week 2026, the 80th anniversary of the Midwest Fastener Association, formerly the Chicago Nut and Bolt Association, right, Matt?
That's it. That CBNSA.
Yeah, and back to its roots in Chicago, Illinois, as you would say, Jake.
Ouch!
I'm looking at your website here, guys, because for more information on all this, it's MWFA.net, and I have been remiss. I should have congratulated you and Francesca, I guess. Great job on the new website. I toggled over to Fastener Week. I do see that the mud race, it might not be sanctioned, but it is prominently displayed here on the...
As it should be.
Yes, Fastener Week page. So thank you for that, guys.
Hey, Eric, I got to correct you on one little thing there. We recently bought MWFA.org to get ourselves aligned properly. it was .net because .org had been taken for years, and we were able to acquire that so that now people know we are actually an organization. In case they didn't know. So the .net does still work, but it'll redirect you to our new site, MWFA.org.
How'd you pull that off?
Our technology committee on the board worked diligently to build our new website. So we just rolled out a brand new website. And while they were doing it, the younger generation, I didn't realize how important it was to have .org versus .net or .com or any of these things. And they're like, no, we're an organization. We need to have .org. So they found out who had it and were able to negotiate getting that. We said it's going to be the Chicago Syndicate Party, at Navy Pier. They sent a friend. We got some things done.
Yeah, that's how you have to do it. We had the same trouble. We started off Fasteners Clearinghouse. We wanted to get FCH. Well, FCH is a completely dead site. It's an address that was bought by a church-based hospital in Pennsylvania somewhere, and they won't let it go. It hasn't been active for 25 years. That URL.
Can't get it.
They still won't let you get it. Wow.
No.
Do you want us to send our guys?
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't suggest that for any type of church. I just want everybody to know that.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to need something like that, an act of God, if nothing else, Jake, because it's been many years that we tried to get ourselves out of this whole undomaining thing, but we're stuck with what we have, and that's just fine. Well, guys, it's been great to have you guys to help us kick this off on a very light AI segment. We'll call it that because we did touch on it, but hey, it is 2026, so what do you want?
Yeah. Is this really me talking is what they want to know.
It was an honor. It was an honor, guys. I really appreciate you asking us to be here. So thank you so much.
Matt Delawder from SWD, home of the Black Ox. Jake Valdez Davis, BTM Manufacturing. 2 MWFA guys, and needless to say, you can't see it right now, but they're very well dressed where they're sitting. We can see it. We'll be back in just a minute with more Fully Threaded
Radio.
Hello, my Fastener amigos. This is Jake Valdez Davis with BTM Manufacturing. During our trade show off season, I found myself navigating the hills of Costa Rica in search of the perfect coffee beans. Just like BTM Manufacturing's commitment to service, finding the right beans matters, especially for our industry favorite U-bolt blend coffee. Whether it's domestic bent wire parts like anchor bolts, U-bolts, single end or double end studs, or great coffee, you can count on BTM to do everything on our end to deliver the absolute best. BTM Manufacturing, a commitment to service.
Precision, efficiency, durability. J.L. Franco has been a trusted name for the finest lock nuts worldwide and across North America for over 40 years. J.L. Franco keeps projects on track, on time, and on budget, providing self-locking lock nuts and critical bolting components for applications in aerospace, mining, industrial, and many other sectors where reliability and high performance are essential. Learn more about J.L. Franco online at www.jlanfranco.com. And don't miss our booth at Fastener Fair USA. J.L. Franco, lock nuts for critical bolted joints.
From thousands of in-stock fasteners, including NAS and MS hardware, to custom parts built to your specifications, MW Components delivers. With U.S. manufacturing across 8 locations, we offer cold heading, precision machining, fully custom solutions, and engineering support for challenging applications. From rapid prototyping to full production, we deliver the capabilities and skill for your most demanding needs. Learn more at mwcomponents.com/fasteners.
This is Marco Rodriguez with Cressa and your industrial real estate update. Many of you have invisible cash sitting on your warehouse floor. In fact, most medium-sized fastener importers are acting like a collection agency for the U.S. government. In our current trade environment, tariff rates on certain C-class components are 30 to 50%. For a distributor, this is a massive drain on liquidity. The U.S. Foreign Trade Zone FTZ program, once considered a luxury for Fortune 500 giants, has become an important but underutilized tool for mid-market companies to fight these high duties. One of the biggest shifts occurred in late 2008 with the creation of the Alternative Site Framework known as ASF. Before ASF, you practically had to have your warehouse on the docks to get FTZ benefits. Now, as long as you are within a grantee's regional service area, which in North Texas covers over 6,000 square miles, your existing inland warehouse can be designated as a remote usage-driven site in the FTZ. The core of the FTZ is a legal fiction, where your building is considered outside of the United States Customs territory. This means you don't pay a dime in duties until your fasteners actually leave the building for a domestic customer. If you're importing $1 million in inventory subject to 50% tariff, that means $500,000 in cash stays in your bank account instead of being tied up in taxes while the product sits on your shelf. And if you re-export these products to customers in Mexico or Canada, that 50% duty is waived entirely. There's also something called the Merchandise Processing Fee, or MPF, and this is where the real money lies. Typically, you pay about 0.35% of the value of your shipment upon entry into the United States, which is capped at about $600. So, if you receive 10 shipments a week, you file 500 entries a year, this can cost you over $300,000 in administrative fees, which go to CBP. Now, if you have an FTZ, you can consolidate everything into one weekly entry. Your annual FPF is capped at approximately $32,000, effectively moving over $250,000 straight to your bottom line. It's important to know you don't need a new facility, but you do need to meet, quote, prudent manager security standards. To activate your remote zone, you need to look at 4 key building modifications. The first is physical security. You must establish a clear zone perimeter. If you aren't activating the entire warehouse, the FTZ area must be partitioned with floor-to-ceiling fencing or permanent walls. Second is surveillance. You have to have high-resolution CCTV covering all areas where zone merchandise is stored and handled, and typically have 30 to 90 days of video retention for CBP audits. With the advent of digital cameras, this is not expensive at all. The third is access control. Entry points must be minimized, reinforced, and logged electronically to track exactly who enters the zone and when. And the last one is have a digital twin. This means your WMS or ERP must integrate with FTZ software to distinguish between foreign and domestic status goods in real time. So, whether you are in New York, which is FTZ zone number 49, Los Angeles 202, or Houston number 84, the Alternative Site Framework, ASF, allows you to activate your own facility in as little as 30 to 60 days. In North Texas, we recently saw a major industrial player activate a massive new hub in Fort Worth to capture these exact benefits, joining industrial distributors like Mouser Electronics. Plus, for my Texas listeners, inventory held in an FTZ are exempt from inventory taxes, adding another layer of direct savings. So if you're importing more than 50 containers a year and facing these duties of 30 to 50%, it is time for a total landed occupancy cost audit. Don't let the myth that you have to be at the port or a huge Fortune 500 company stop you from protecting your margins. If you want to talk nuts and bolts or walk your warehouse floors to see if you're ready, I'm Marco Rodriguez from Cressa. You can find me on LinkedIn or email me at mrodriguez@cressa.com. Don't forget to pay your rent.
Hey, this is Rosa Hearn from Linfast Solutions Group, home of Star Stainless, Stelfast, Lindstrom Fasteners, Big Bolt, and more. And you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
And it's the news segment. A couple morsels to drop on you before we get over to Mike McNulty. This time he'll be talking with Tim O'Keeffe of Huyett as they look at the explosive FDI numbers from March.
Right.
In a good way, which brings up all kinds of questions on its own. I'm really looking forward to seeing next month's numbers, Bri, to see if all this optimism continues because, well, anyway, I won't kill the conversation, but very interesting FDI this time. Hey, it was breaking news that we missed because we recorded with Valdez the previous segment before this one hit. I saw this fly by right before we turned on the mics. Congratulations on this episode. For the duration, whenever we refer to Jake Davis, Bright, we're going to call him Ace, because at the Southwestern Fastener Association golf tournament this week, he hit the coveted hole-in-one out there on the greens, impressing everybody, and they gave him some special award. I don't know what it was. Hopefully a pile of money, but I don't know how rich those things usually are on the Fastener Association golf circuit.
Right. I think they saved their money for all their scholarships.
Yeah, that's the way this group flies, but he's got to be tickled.
Well, I'd think so.
He's got to be real proud of himself. So congratulations, Jake Valdez, Ace Davis. I don't know how he or his team placed overall in the tourney, but when you hit an ace like that, it really doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't really.
All right. Also on the agenda here, we want to mention that since last episode, a new issue of Link Magazine dropped. That's the spring 2026 issue. Cover story, S.W. Anderson, longtime FCH members, 100-year anniversary. That's the cover story. That's a headline.
Congratulations, S.W. Anderson. Or another way, congratulations, Sweco.
Yes. Here's a trivia question for you, Bri, and I didn't know the answer to this either, so I won't hold you to it. But what is the SW in S.W. Anderson? All right, it's the founder, Stanley W. Anderson. So I don't know what the W was, but it was Stanley.
Okay.
Picture of him here on page 16 of Link Magazine.
Yep.
You can read all about that in the feature story, and we'll also congratulate Tracy and Jill. I know it's a bittersweet issue for you. Their pictures side by side on the masthead this time, first time.
Yep.
Of course, everybody knows linkmagazine.com is the digital way to consume that. The Fastener News Report is brought to us by Volt Industrial Plastics, and the title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Star Stainless and Brighton Best International. Also, we've got Fastener Fair USA coming up. It's right around the corner, Bri, and I received from the team over there the education schedule because they're really trying to emphasize the education tracks they're offering.
Okay.
And I see our friend Carmen Vertullo is prominently featured.
Good, as we would expect.
Yes. Tuesday, May 5th, for example, at 11:30, he's hosting How to Conduct a Fastener Failure Investigation, right up his alley. I'm not going to list all these here because there are several, but another one that sticks out is Tariffs, Turbulence, and the Opportunity of Reclaiming Margin, which is being hosted by a couple of people from some tech providers. I'm not acquainted with them, but looks like a great topic.
I would think so, especially at the moment.
Yes, very timely. Then later that day, how to get your fasteners ISO certified.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, another good topic. The second day, Wednesday, May 6th, kicks off with a favorite of the industry, Ask the Fastener Experts. Again, Carmen will be leading up a panel. I'm sure he'll have Salim and Lawrence up there with him. I don't know if anybody else will be there, but those are always a crowd favorite. And even though we are consciously trying to have less AI conversation, 145 that day, the hidden deal killers in fasteners and how AI is fixing them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That one is also sponsored by QuickCode.ai, who I'm not acquainted with, but will be after that.
Yeah, we will.
There's several others. Get out to FastenerFairUSA.com for more info and get yourself registered for the show. I should also mention that all of those sessions are included when you get into the show, so no upcharges for any of that.
Wow, good.
You know, we keep bumping into this topic of tariff rebates, and we're going to be touching on it later with Nick, but I want to point out to everybody that there's an excellent podcast to get really well done information. It's not fastener specific, but is very thorough, and the people they have are very serious on the issue. It was recommended to me actually by Jennifer Baker Reed, who is with the Lauren Baker Group. She works extensively with the IFI. Many of you are familiar with Jennifer. It's called the Talking with One Voice podcast.
Interesting name, yeah.
Well, it's really focused on the lobbying aspect of all this, and they're very, very up to speed on the latest developments. They covered the tariff rebate subject a couple of times in late March. I recommend going back and listening to those if you're interested in that whole subject of tariff rebates. And I'm very sure that they'll have updates as they become available. You know, I looked into talking about this on the episode today, Brian, and I came to the conclusion that it's really, at least as far as I'm concerned, the blind leading the blind. You know, there's only so much we have out there and we're just waiting around for a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, that's the Talking with One Voice podcast.
Yeah, I think the government would actually prefer if it didn't have to pay anyone back, actually.
Well, yeah, especially appropriate today.
Yeah, tax day. Right.
The infamous, yeah. Well, right now we're going to switch over to the infamous Mike McNulty, who's ever focused on fasteners. He's got Tim O'Keeffe with him. And Bri, you know what that means.
Yeah. So now for news about screws that you can use, here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Brian and Eric. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. Major League Baseball is back in full swing. Americans are headed back to the moon, and the fastener industry spring events are ramping up this month and next, so I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In this episode, Tim O'Keeffe, Chief Executive Officer at Huyett, joins us to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story from Edson Manufacturing, plus newsmaker headlines from Penn Aero, Fastenal, Prospect Fastener, Volt Industrial Plastics, Wi-Fi, Brighton Best International, the IFI, and more. And on the back page report, we're going to talk about spring fastener industry events. We'll get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
Hi, this is Heidi Voltrauer with Volt Industrial Plastics. And there are 4 things that separate us from the rest. There is a difference: competitive pricing, fast lead times and delivery, no minimum quantity orders, and our customer service is above the rest. With a heritage of growth and hard work, Volt Industrial Plastics is committed to our customers and our future. You are valued. We take pride in our company and the products we manufacture. We welcome every opportunity to put our experience, technical expertise, and rapid response production capabilities to work for you. Contact a member of our friendly, knowledgeable sales team today to find out how we can help. You know the website, voltplastics.com. And come see us at Fastener Fair USA in Charlotte.
At Worth, status quo isn't an option. Worth is a global supply chain solutions provider of fasteners, MRO, and safety products, along with value-added services like kitting and assembly, 3D printing, and engineering assistance. Find out what Worth can do for you at worthindustry.com.
Solution Man, Ken.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
SOLUTION, SOLUTION. Solution Industry. We are Solution.
Back to the Fastener News Report with Mike McNulty.
The seasonally adjusted Fastener Distributor Index for March 2026 roared ahead to 59.7 after posting a solid reading of 52.7 in February, seasonally adjusted. This was the strongest FDI in nearly 5 years. The forward-looking indicator, also known as the FLI, also jumped to an impressive 58.7 versus 52.2 the prior month. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight into these results, we're going to talk to Tim O'Keeffe, Chief Executive Officer at Huyett. Hi, Tim. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Appreciate it, Mike. Good to hear from you again.
Good to have you back on the Fastener News Report. Your regular commentary is appreciated on what's going on, and you rolled the dice here and got the largest FDI in nearly 5 years. So,
yeah, first of all, let me just full disclosure. I was an economics student during 1981. I hate to date myself.
Okay.
Actually, listened to Paul Volcker back in the day in kind of the darkest time of fighting inflation. And my first instinct in looking at these two numbers is they're inflated. This is inflation.
Okay. They are big. So that's a good analysis to start out with.
I'm going to share two quotes real quick.
Okay.
First is, inflation is as violent as a mugger, as frightening as an armed robber, and as deadly as a hitman. That was from Ronald Reagan. But the second one is, the first panacea for a mismanaged nation is inflation of the currency. The second is war. Both bring a temporary prosperity. Both bring a permanent ruin. That came from Ernest Hemingway. And so when I look at this, what I wonder is, we all dollar denominated are experiencing a lot of growth right now. And top line sales appear to be really strong. The underlying fundamentals don't seem to me to be as strong. And so, at least in our firm, we're trying to separate our growth in units from our growth in dollars so we can really understand, how is the economy and how are we doing out there, winning new business. And so I just find myself wondering, I note that in the report, this is really well done. And Eric, you all do such a nice job on this, but 86% of respondents reported that their year-over-year pricing was higher. And my general thought process is, unless you're buying exclusively domestic product, you're probably experiencing pricing that's 10 to 15% higher than a year ago now because of the tariffs. And so if your sales are not greater than 10 to 15% growth, your growth is inflation.
And you're losing ground. Yeah.
Not real growth. So just something for people to be thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing looking at the units as well as the sales numbers, because you can get deceived by inflation, tariffs, et cetera.
Yep. But the FLI is also equally high. So people clearly are optimistic. And there are some parts of the business that are extremely strong. Anything to do with infrastructure, data centers, the power grid, bridges, transportation, sports stadiums. There's a new sports stadium, it seems like, in every major city going up. That part's really strong, but then there remain some areas that are pretty weak. Ag continues to be pretty weak. I'm hearing we're not as big in auto as others, but I'm hearing autos are down. Oil seems like it's up slightly, but the rig counts are still lower than a year ago. General industrial it's not recessionary, but not necessarily seeing anything growth-wise. And we have picked up on some signals in our Houston market that residential housing is starting to soften up quite a bit. So it's a mixed bag out there. The heavy truck guys seem like they might be picking up. I don't know what fuel prices will do now, especially with independents, on buying new trucks. But it's definitely a mixed bag out there right now.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I know in the past you've always talked about your idea that that the FDI and the FLI are kind of emotional indexes, and
they are.
And it's really playing out even more so now than they have in the past. I mean, to put this into context, we're recording this the Wednesday after Easter, and it's also these numbers were collected after the war in Iran started. So I was surprised that they jumped up. I thought they might be more pessimistic.
I was too. And I'm glad that we're optimistic and don't want to be a wet blanket. But is this an inflationary mirage? Is the growth real? Is the optimism real? Or is it a dollar-denominated inflated pricing basis? And that would be something that I might encourage people out there to be sure that they're paying attention to. Because you look at Fastenal sales, they're up 13.3%. Their Fastener portion of the business was 13.5%. That kind of falls in line with my sense of where pricing is at from a year ago. And so, did they see any real growth? My instincts would be no. It's inflation.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the numbers here. Let's get into the numbers. So we've got sales, employment, and deliveries all went up, and inventories and pricing dropped. Even though, like as you mentioned, people are saying prices are higher than they were a year ago, but it dropped from last month's rate. Anything grab your attention there?
My sense is that everyone's running their inventories really lean right now. The supply chain is fairly predictable. Manufacturer lead times outside of the structural people, their lead times are really stretched out, but largely supplier lead times are predictable. And so I think, I don't see any part of this being an inventory correction one way or another. What growth there is in real production numbers and not, inventory adjustments. And then obviously I've already made my comments around inflation, and I feel like that's the vast majority of it. But, inventories and things seem to be pretty good place.
Yeah, the inventory, and we had, mentioned that they both went down, not by a lot, they went down slightly, but they're both, right around the 50 mark, 50, 40s. So they're already down there. And then pricing went down, but the year to year is still at 91.1, which is still a pretty high number.
It is, yeah. And there are a lot of comments this month in the report, and it generally is very, very optimistic. But yet, people are looking at tariffs. The war isn't mentioned yet, but we'll see where that ends up. As we sit here today, as you noted, what is the Tuesday or Wednesday after Easter, and there is a ceasefire going on.
Yeah, right.
But we didn't get the nukes, and I think we may have emboldened the Iranians on their ability to control the Strait of Hormuz, and so that could remain a risk. I don't know that it necessarily affects the fastener risk as much for U.S. people, because our products tend not to go through that part of the world, but it will affect oil, which affects
energy
everything.
prices. Yep.
So
we will wait and see. It'll probably all be changed by the time people are listening to this. But
yeah, I would imagine so. All
right, let's jump over to the 6-month outlook. It increased. It stayed strong and it increased on the middle this time. We had 54% of respondents expecting things to be better in 6 months, 29 the same, and 18 worse. And that was compared to last month of 55, 24, and 21. So the big change is some people moved from the edges into the middle.
Yeah, I would again kind of attribute that to the mixed underlying economic fundamentals. And there does seem to be, how do I say this? We live in a noisy world right now. And there's a lot of turmoil in the news, it seems like every night or relatively frequently. And so I think that people are maybe more cautious to, look out into that crystal ball and be confident 6 months from now. It's more comfortable to be, conservative the next 3 months or so. I find it kind of interesting. And Mike, I not necessarily to toot your horn, but I think it's worthy of tooting. You've got two pretty amazing columns in the Fastener Technology International this month that really speak to maybe the longer term concern. One around the U.S. national debt, and the other one around the changing world order. Not to be overly promotional here, but I would encourage the listeners to read those articles. They're very well done. And I look at this debt that we continue to balloon, and I think that that concerns me, especially if you get out 5-6 years. So there's just a lot of noise, a lot of turmoil, and I think people are going to be reluctant to have a lot of confidence beyond 3 or 4 months. They're going to be reluctant to really say what I think is really going to happen.
Yeah, well, thanks for mentioning the editorial page in the latest issue. It's April, May issue, and that's page 8 if you want to check it out. So
yeah, but one thing I would want to encourage you to do sometime is there's a book out there called The Fate of Empires by a guy named Sir John Glubb. In your Changing World Order article there, Glubb wrote about this, I don't know, I think it's been 25 years ago. He was a British officer, and he traced the fate of empires. I think there were 10 or 11 empires, and they all kind of start to wither at about 250 years.
Oh,
I hate to say what year we're on, but we got
a big party coming up.
We might look like Italy in 5 years. I'm not sure, so we'll see.
All right. Well, it's still a great country, but yeah, we've got our challenges for sure. Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. The last number we have is the ISM PMI, and that stayed strong. It inched up to 52.7 versus 52.4 in February. I would say this is maybe an index that's less emotional than the FDI, but so it's third month in a row above 50. So that's a good sign, I think.
I agree. And that is a truly good sign. Good news is it's been above 50 now for 3 months, and that does provide a basis for some optimism, especially in the next 3-4 months time frame.
And it went a long time without being above 50. So
a long time, 2 or 3 years, I believe.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the number, the raw data, before we jump into the commentary that is pretty positive this time?
Nothing that comes to my mind. I guess the only thing I would just note to be sure that kind of impresses upon people, we're at 59.7. And we had one reading of 56 and change back in December. And then really nothing well below that, in all other periods. So And the FLI is kind of the same dynamic. So just want to reiterate what a balloon these ratings were, and be interesting to see what happens next month.
Well, we can also conclude that we're probably an optimistic bunch in the fastener industry.
Yeah, especially when the cocktails are flowing. So maybe that's when they did this. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into the comments. I'll read them, and then you can jump in and add to them or subtract from them as we go. And overall, Baird said that March commentary suggested a strong tone to close out the first quarter, even though macro and tariff-related uncertainty remains. So the first quote is, quote, "It's amazing with everything going on in the world. Our sales have been very strong in the first quarter. Record high incoming order rate in March too. Shipments are up 13% year to date." End quote.
Just going to note, interesting that that's a 13% year to date. That's the same number that basically Fastenal has.
And close to what you were talking about on.
Yep.
Next one says, March sales not only surpassed our previous record, but smashed it. And another one on March sales, we experienced our best sales month ever in March 2026 and our best sales quarter in Q1 2026. This was due to new business.
That's real good.
Q1 2026 was extremely busy, up 26% over 2025. Then the next one, we have seen an increase in new opportunities, some coming from prospects we've been chasing for 10 years. That's another good one. You know, you're getting new business and you're getting new people that you've been working on for a long time.
Absolutely.
Then looking into some specific, we have a comment here. It says lots of turnaround specific to heavy truck, trailer, industrial. Auto remains flat. It's kind of what you were mentioning earlier.
Yep.
Then on the seasonal comment, we have looking at slower summer sales and customers not wanting to hold inventory. And then the next one is expecting an uptick in sales the second half of the year. I guess they're going to skip the second quarter, but
yeah.
And then the last one on economic or sales performance, we had an amazing 2025 due to some massive data center projects. Many of these got so far ahead in 2025 that it skewed the 2026 numbers in a very negative way. Interesting. Data centers are really out of this world, I could say.
They are.
Okay, then we've got the last few comments, and these dip back into tariffs. And, regular listeners know that we've had tariffs on the comments for a long time, and now they seem to be decreasing, but they're still there. So here's the first one. The trade is sending mixed signals across North America. Ongoing tariff uncertainty and continued military conflict are still weighing on purchasing decisions across channels, end quote. The next one says, somewhat curious as if pricing on steel items will come down since tariffs have been turned down by the Supreme Court. Really not expecting any kind of rebate from the master distributors because I don't think they're going to receive anything back, end quote. What do you think about potential rebates?
My sense is, well, if you read, the Commerce Department is setting up programs to put those rebates in place. If there are rebates paid, I can't really imagine a scenario where rebates would be paid to certain entities and not to everybody. The government tends to try and be fair. And so my sense is if there are rebates, I think they'll flow to everyone, to all importers. And right now, my sense is I'd put it at, I'm going to say if there's a 70% chance that there's going to be rebates. Then the question is, what do the master distributors, of which we're one, what do we do with those rebates? And, that's a situation that we're studying. It'd be nice to find a way to try and pass those back. The problem is the calculations are pretty massive. So my sense is there's a decent chance that we'll see rebates.
You'll see some kind of rebate. Well, when you said if they give them to everybody, then that'll kind of mean they have to reduce them.
I know that the people that have sued, and I don't recall right now, there's a small office inside of the Commerce Department that handles these. There are some importers that have sued that office, if you will. And I've heard that if you have less than $7 million in rebates, the legal fees and such don't add up. So there are, Home Depot sued them, Lowe's has sued them. There have been some lawsuits, but these are people that have a significant dollar amount at stake. The legal fees are high and the complexities are high. But if they really, if you imagine a picture where the headline is, Home Depot and Lowe's get their rebates, Bed Bath & Beyond gets their rebates, but you've got a picture of some small importer that is struggling. I think that's going to be hard to overcome. And my sense is everyone's going to get a rebate if it happens.
Complicated scenario.
It is.
All right, next comment. Quote, prices continue to go up owing to a combination of higher prices due to both tariffs and fuel prices, which are up over $1 a gallon. All of this is being passed through to distribution and ultimately to the end user. Sticker shock has finally hit the users, end quote. Then we got two more. The overall market has been resilient to tariff-related pricing adjustments. The transportation and supply chain availability consistency have been a continued and welcome surprise, end quote. Then here's a negative one. Shipments down 30% from last year, although more future orders was a plus of about 20% from last month.
I feel like when you read these comments, it goes back to it. It just kind of depends on where your customer base is at. And, if you're in data centers and sports stadiums and roads and bridges and the utility infrastructure, business is great. If you're in autos, you're probably have a little bit of an upset stomach. If you're in ag, you've had the hatches buttoned down now for probably the better part of 2.5 years. So it's, there is a lot of sector nature to the current demand side of things. There is one thing I also want to mention about tariffs, being that we just discussed it. If people want to go to the White House website, there is a new entry into the Section 232 tariffs that have been implemented since the Supreme Court decision that does suggest a 25% tariff rate on steel derivatives. And there have been times in the past where fasteners were considered a derivative. And so we're studying that, have not been able to navigate or negotiate that lower rate, but that's something that the industry ought to probably keep an eye on, because if we could get the tariffs down 50 to 25, that would be obviously helpful.
Big savings
for all of us.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are the comments. Any comments you want to add to that before we move on and let you tell us what's going on at Huyett?
Not a whole lot, I guess. Just we're trying to study and separate our real growth from inflationary growth, and I would encourage the same to people out there. Inflation can be an illusion, so you want to be careful that you're really looking at your true underlying growth.
Keep you from patting yourself on the back.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, good. So I know you guys are always busy. A lot of things going on at Huyett. I read about you've expanded your in-house manufacturing capabilities, and what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we've over the last couple of years, we've invested heavily into Swiss lathes, which are very conducive to making custom, more complicated parts. Our traditional business has been around pins. This business has taken us into more hydraulic fitting type products, more sophisticated pin designs, spacer designs, that sort of thing. So that's been very successful for us. And we also bought a business in Florida back in 24 and have enjoyed a lot of success in our adhesives line. We have a line of adhesives, think thread lockers. We're doing a lot of private label work for distributors where they want to put their own name on it. The price point's about half of the leading brands, and that's worked out for us. And right now, we're really thinking a lot about internal automation. We're making a big investment in our Houston operation. We're going to be moving our business down there into a high cube, highly automated facility. We're excited about that. And that's going to support an exciting new product line that we'll be talking about and bringing to the trade later this year. So we are busy. We got a lot on the plate and are happy to be where we're at.
Good. It's good that
we've been blessed.
Yeah, that's good. I also saw that you were a speaker at MSC's national meeting.
I was.
Tell us about that.
MSC has made a real concerted effort in the last 3 years or so. They've recognized that their relationship with their suppliers has been very limited and, in fact, impaired. And so they formed a supplier council. I've been on it now, I think, 2.5 years. I'm actually a small member of that council. There's about a dozen of us. Most of the companies around there are billion-dollar type companies, but MSC views fasteners as a strategic part of their future. And so I've learned a lot. I think that MSC's done a very, very good job of trying to embrace supplier development best practices. And so they had a meeting in Dallas last month or a month and a half ago, and really set it up as a business planning type of format versus a conventional trade show. And I think they did a spectacular job on it. I was privileged to speak at it and honored, and very happy that we can contribute, to them and to all of our distributor customers. We want to try to work to make our distributors stronger in their own respective fields. And we're trying to do that with MSC, along with all of our distributor customers. So it was an honor, true honor.
Yeah, sounds like a good approach. And any general consensus coming out of that meeting? Any nuggets that you gleaned from it?
I think that MSC has a strong background in cutting tools, which is a very, very technical product line. And I think that it'll be interesting to kind of sit back and watch over the next few years to see how these large national distributors navigate the competitive landscape out there. And, I think the general mood with MSC is very positive, and they've made a lot of changes, made some changes to their executive team, and I think they're in good order. And bottom line is, I think their future is very bright. And I think we'll maybe see them a little more present in our industry as time goes on.
Good to hear. Next thing I want to ask you about, I saw that you wrote an article, I think, for the Tugboat Institute, and you had a Gaelic saying quote in there that I want to get a kick out of it.
So
go ahead.
we want to try to remain a private company. And I'm a member of the Tugboat Institute. The Tugboat Institute was founded by a former private equity person who, after some time, started to recognize that there is a beauty in the long-term sustainability side of private companies. And so he started this organization. There's about 325 companies, and I want to say. These are all companies that are bound by 7 common principles around long-term value creation. And I was asked to write an article. So bottom line is, we want to try to keep our company private. We're in an industry that's being conquered by private equity. And so I have 5 kids, and none of them are involved in the business. And over the last 2 or 3 years, we've engaged a family process, actually hired a family therapist, which I encourage all families to get a family therapist, even if you don't think your family's messed up.
Every family's messed up.
Great beneficial tool for us. But I wrote an article on 8 trailheads that I have to do to navigate this transition, generational ownership transition. And it kind of starts with a Gaelic saying I heard some years ago, and that is, a son's job is to kill his father, and his father's job is to let him do it. And while that seems pretty dark, when you think about it for a minute, if you're in a family business, it is the next generation's job to establish a level of competence in leadership and management, and then to basically kill the former generation and carry forward in a macabre way. That's the process we're going through at Huyett.
So how many sons do you have?
I've got 3 sons and 2 daughters. So,
so they're getting ready.
they're scared to death about the responsibility to our families and our stakeholders. That we have a lot of riding on a day in and day out basis, and so
not everybody's cut out for it.
No, that's right.
Well, yeah, I got a kick out of that saying, and then also your Irish roots that we share. My grandparents were immigrants from Ireland when they were in their 20s. So,
wow, yeah, my great grandfather came through Ellis Island, 1906. So,
good stuff.
Small world. I'll have to have a Guinness sometime.
Yeah, right.
So,
and we just had St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, anytime you can have a good Irish beer is a good thing.
You got it.
Great. And anything else you want to add on what's going on with Huyett or with yourself?
No, I just once again thank you all for your contribution to the industry. Eric obviously does a pretty stellar job of keeping us all informed and networked together. And Mike, your publications are outstanding, and I'm honored to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, thanks for those comments, and thanks for being on with us. You always do a great job and provide some good insight, including some quotes at the front from Ronald Reagan, and who was the other one?
Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway, yeah, good stuff.
My man.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Actually, I'm getting in with one thing real quick. Ernest Hemingway committed suicide after getting a lobotomy. He had PTSD from war injuries, but he committed suicide in Sun Valley, Idaho. And that is where the Tugboat's annual meeting is every June. And so every June I walk down to his grave. Oh. And invariably there's a couple of cigarettes and beer cans on his grave. He was kind of the wild man. So we'll just end it with, luck of the Irish, I guess you might call it.
Yeah, had, I think, a tumultuous life, I guess, right?
Yes, most definitely.
And I'm thinking of a book. I think I read The Sun Also Rises.
If you ever get a chance, The Old Man and the Sea is probably my favorite one.
All right. I will put it on my list.
You got it.
Good. All right. Thanks, Tim. Thanks again for joining us. It's good to have you on.
You bet.
That was Huyett CEO Tim O'Keeffe. The FDI number for March 2026 was 59.7 versus 52.7 the previous month. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. Edson Manufacturing is investing roughly $4 million to expand into a 38,000 square foot facility sitting on over 36 acres of land in Walcott, Connecticut. Combined with existing facilities, this will give Edson a total of over 78,000 square feet. What was once a small manufacturer employing 7 people out of a 5,200 square foot shop has now grown to employ more than 50 people. A true American success story, Edson has grown through hard work, commitment to quality and customer service, and building good relationships with vendors and employees. Along with the expansion, Edson welcomed 2 new team members to strengthen its focus on service, sales, and product expansion. As Edson's new National Accounts Manager, Erica Landgraf brings more than 20 years of experience in the fastener industry. Erica said, quote, "In my new role at Edson, I look forward to continuing this mission. I will be focused on developing systems, enhancing service capabilities, and supporting growth for both Edson and our customers. I am proud to join a company known for its longevity, integrity, and unwavering commitment to customer-first service. At Edson, we take pride in being a quality supplier our partners can trust, and I am excited to contribute to that legacy," end quote. Ryan Bonner comes to Edson as the Business Development Manager. With over 27 years of experience in sales, operations, marketing, training, and supply chain management, Ryan will be focused on driving business growth and profitability. Ryan said, quote, "I'm excited to work with the Edson team to build the systems, structure, and partnerships necessary to expand the business into new markets, as well as building on an already stellar reputation of hard work and commitment to customer service and quality. It's truly refreshing to be able to join a great team with a commitment to growth that cares about their employees, customers, and vendors," end quote. Both Eric and Ryan will be working closely with Maria Garcia, Edson's National Sales Manager, to drive growth and customer satisfaction throughout 2026 and beyond. Edson produces upwards to 450 million fasteners, tools, and components every year for thousands of customers across multiple industries. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In corporate news, Penn Aero completed its acquisition of TriMas Corporation's aerospace assets. Fastenal broke ground on a new distribution facility in Georgia and celebrated 25 years in Mexico. Southern Carlson acquired Greenwald Supply Direct. Prospect Fastener invested in new inventory from Davies Molding. Easy Lock relocated to a dedicated facility. Hillman acquired Campbell Chain and Fittings. Brighton Best International bought land for a new facility in New Jersey. Nefco opened a new branch in Iowa. And Nline Analytics and ClickBond formed a strategic partnership. In personnel news, Volt Industrial Plastics promoted Chad Avise to Chief Operating Officer, named Carrie Fletcher Chief Financial Officer, and recognized Pam Lane Customer Service Manager for 30 years of service. Women in the fastener industry, also known as Wi-Fi, named Celie Wyatt of Stelfast as the recipient of the 2026 Ann Biscayr Waltz Scholarship, and Victoria Jimenez of Semblex as the winner of the 2026 Margaret Davis Scholarship. The Industrial Fastener Institute, also known as the IFI, presented Soaring Eagle Awards to Kenneth LeVay and Andrew Kalnow, and Brian Mace joined Semson Specials as its new president. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International Magazine and the Fastener News Report monthly newsletter, both available online at fastenertech.com. Now let's turn to the back page to talk about spring fastener industry events. The spring schedule of fastener industry trade events is loaded. Many fastener people are anxious to get on the road as international, national, and regional events are front and center this month and next. At the top of the list internationally is the Fastener Hall at Wire 2026 in Dusseldorf, Germany. If you want to see where manufacturing is actually headed, not just where the websites and LinkedIn posts say it's going, that's the place to see the latest machinery, technology, and tooling. And Fastener Taiwan 2026 is a fantastic spot to gauge the pulse of the world's third largest fastener exporter nation, from machines to finished fasteners and everything in between. And closer to home for North Americans is Fastener Fair USA in Charlotte, North Carolina, which has a great slate of exhibits, sessions, and networking for the whole fastener industry supply chain. You can read about all three of these events in the April-May 2026 issue of Fastener Technology International magazine. And don't ignore the regional schedule. Popular events like the Southeastern Fastener Association Spring Conference and the North Coast Fastener Association's Distributor Social are coming up soon. These feature short travel, fast turnaround, and personal touches that don't always happen on the big show floors. And finally, a separate category entirely, there's Brisket Fest 26. The Ohio smoked meat and hospitality tradition, presented and hosted by Fully Threaded Radio's own Brian, Lynn, and Eric. This year's staging will include groundwork on a new fastener association called the NFBBQA. And to that I say, let's go. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
When precision matters, Gobel delivers. Our distributors and authorized dealers partner with us because they're done dealing with the usual headaches. Long lead times, unpredictable back orders, and inconsistent quality from low-cost providers. At Gobel, we don't play those games. We keep consistent stock, we ensure dependable delivery, and we back every order with real technical support that keeps your projects moving on schedule. Because when precision matters, Gobel delivers.
Quality products, quality service, quality customers. That's 3Q Inc., a fastener distributor unlike any you've worked with before. With its unique remote managed inventory stocking programs, wide array of secondary service offerings, and wholly owned cold forming capability, 3Q Inc. has been supporting fastener distributors since 2008. 3Q offers a wide range of 100% American-made fasteners, including ITW SEMS lock washers, as well as specialty and imported parts. Give 3Q a call today to discuss your needs and experience 3Q quality for yourself. 3Q Inc. www.3q-inc.com.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo with today's Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from the Fastener Training Institute and Carver Labs in beautiful El Cajon, California. Today's topic is fastener straightness. This comes to us from a client who sent us a part to inspect. It's not actually a fastener. I'm assuming it's not because it does not have threads on it, but it's a long fastener. That means its diameter to length ratio is relatively large. And so we had to measure this. The customer did not like our method, and so we had to dig into that a little bit. But it turns out also that in the fastener world, we have a very good handle on measuring fastener straightness, and it really depends on how long the fastener is. Its diameter to length ratio governs that. And the standard we look to is ASME B18.2.1. And that standard covers virtually every kind of headed bolt or screw. I'm going to read the title to you. It says square, hex, heavy hex, and askew head bolts in heavy hex, hex flange, lobed head, and lag screws. So notice that in the title we have the word bolts and we also have the word screws. And if we dig into B18.2.1, we will find out that the features, the dimensional features for bolts and screws vary a lot. Bolts are relatively crude compared to screws. And we get into a lot of trouble with that all the time. That'll be a topic maybe for the next Fastener Training Minute. What's the difference between a bolt and a screw? However, in this particular feature, straightness, which comes from paragraph 2.6, they're the same. So let me read it to you. It's got a few very important words right in the beginning that we have to pay very close attention to. So 2.6 from B18.2.1, straightness, shanks of bolts and screws. Shanks, what does that mean? It's very important that we know what a shank of the bolt or screw is. The shank is the full length of the bolt from under the head to the very end. Of bolts and screws, does not distinguish. So the bolt and screw have the same straightness requirement. Shall be straight within the following limits of a maximum material condition, MMC. That is a geometric dimensioning and tolerancing call out. MMC, maximum material condition, means the maximum space the feature can take up. That's sort of like making an envelope around it. What is the largest hole that this bent bowl will fit into? And it says for bolts or screws with nominal lengths up to and including 12 inches, the maximum camber, very interesting word, camber, it means the exact same thing as straightness. So if we were to take a perfectly straight rod and roll it on a flat surface, and by the way, most desks like that have some kind of a, I don't know what you would call it, artificial material on top of them, they're relatively flat. But a desk is not good enough. Tell you what you have to use here in a minute. But if you were to roll it on the top of your flat desk and it's perfectly straight, it's just going to roll. If your part has a little bit of a camber to it, that is, it's bent, it's either not going to roll or it's going to go whoop, 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 wobble on the desk. So the maximum camber shall be 0.006 inches per inch of bolt length or screw, of bolt or screw length. So 0.006, it sounds like a small number. However, it's per inch of length. So if we have a 12-inch bolt, we get 6 thousandths times 12. That's 72 thousandths. That's a crankshaft. You can see that. That part will wobble. If you have a 1-inch bolt that's 12 inches long, that's got 72 thousandths of camber, it ain't going in a 1-inch hole or even close to a 1-inch hole. So that's where we get in trouble sometimes when we order long screws that have to go through long holes. You would want to make sure if you needed that screw to be straighter than the standard allows, that you made sure that the manufacturer knows that. Then it goes on to say for longer bolts, that is over 12 inch up to including 24 inches, the camber shall be 8 thousandths of an inch per inch maximum. It's even more. So if you had like an 18-inch bolt and you had 8 thousandths, I'm not going to do the math. I'll let you do it. 8 thousandths times 72 is probably an eighth of an inch or something like that. That is a bent freaking bolt. Now you might ask yourself, man, that doesn't sound good. Is that bolt going to work? Well, the fact of the matter is, once you put a load on that bolt, not very much, you're going to tighten the nut down or screw it into the tapped hole, which, by the way, would be a nightmare if you had to turn it down through some long holes into a tapped hole. It's probably not going to turn. The bolt head is not going to turn. But if you were to be able to get it in, and even if you had to bang it in with a hammer, which would be fine, that's not a big problem. You see that on job sites all the time. The bolt won't go through, so we hammer it in. Now we have a bent bolt coming through the other side. We put the nut on the threads. As soon as we start tightening that nut down, that bolt's going to straighten right out. So it's not a problem in terms of the function of the bolt mechanically. So the important thing to know, of course, is if you need a straight bolt, you have to let the manufacturer know. Goes on to describe a fixture that we can use to check these bolt straightness features. And it comes from ASME B18.2.9, which is in the IFI book under quality. And it's a very cool little feature, not really that hard to make. And we've actually made them here, and we've used ones that you can buy. I'm going to do my best to describe this, so try to get a little theater of the mind going on here. Imagine that you have a steel plate probably about 12 inches by 24 inches. So you can check a bolt that's 24 inches long. You attach an angle iron to it, a piece of angle iron, maybe 1 inch by 1 inch. You have slots in that angle iron so that it can slide. Adjacent to it and facing it, you put another angle iron, but that one is bolted on solid. It can't move. In that angle iron, you install one or more indicating gauges. Probably one indicating gauge right in the middle is fine. And you can even spring load this thing to make it easier to operate. Then you slide the bolt in to the fixture between those two angle irons, and you twist the bolt and let the movable angle iron move back and forth. And as it moves, your indicating gauge is going to go up and down. And that total indicator reading would be the amount of camber. So if you were to start at 0, let's say, and it were to go to 20 thousandths positive and 30 thousandths negative, you add that together and you have 50 thousandths of camber. It's a very straightforward fixture. However, there is an easier way. Remember I talked about you could roll the bolt on a flat surface. Well, if you have a granite surface plate, you could also simply set up your fixture, your indicating gauge on that granite surface plate and turn the bolt and put the indicator on the bolt and see how much it rose up and down based on the camber of the bolt. You could also simply roll the bolt until you could see some light underneath it and put whatever size feeler gauge would fit into that light underneath the bolt. And that would tell you how much camber or how much straightness you have. Well, I hope you understand a little bit more about straightness and the requirement for it from ASME B18.2.9. In particular, remember, whenever you need a very long bolt, if straightness matters, you need to make sure that the manufacturer of the bolt knows that's a requirement, because you could get a really bent bolt and it would still be in conformance. And I guess you could send it back, but you would really, in some cases, if it were a special, you might be stuck with it. Well, I hope you learned something about straightness. This has been Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Thanks for listening.
Downtime and inventory surprises cost time and money and pull focus from what matters most. Worth Industry builds inventory management programs tailored to your operation. The results? Lower total cost of ownership, predictable material availability, higher uptime, faster replenishment, and safer, more organized facilities. Companies run smarter and operate with confidence. Visit worthindustry.com today.
This is Craig Penland with Eurolink Fastener Supply Service. Hard to find metric fasteners delivered. You're listening to Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio.
This next segment is a conversation with Nick Pericle. He's an AI consultant, educator, and visionary. He's also the founder of Tenexity.ai. He's focused on developing AI-powered growth strategies for distribution. He has recently teamed up with the NAW, the National Association of Wholesalers, to launch a new podcast, which we will discuss. Here's my discussion with Nick Pericle. Nick, your name came up during a conversation with Ian Heller. We were talking about the Distribution Strategy AI conference happening in June. You're presenting there. I'm so glad you were able to make time to talk to me today.
I am excited to be here today, Eric. This is going to be a lot of fun. And yes, in June, Ian and the team over at DSG had an idea on teaching people how to build their own agent. And we're actually going to talk about that a little bit today. So maybe I'll save what I'm going to do for when we talk about that.
Definitely. You're charging hard into this whole AI application area, and we need voices like you. You're spinning out a new podcast that was just announced. We're going to talk about that also. That's in conjunction with the National Association of Wholesalers, NAW. That's the big leagues, and I'm really, really excited to hear about this. Let's throw them a little red meat to get this conversation going, though. The fastener industry is grappling with a huge one right now, and I bet there's lots of opportunities to look at AI to solve some of the questions that are going to arise out of it. I'm speaking about the tariff refund question. We just heard from Tim O'Keeffe on the podcast. He was thinking that it's pretty likely some form of rebate is going to come through. What are your thoughts on all that? How are you going to handle that maybe on your podcast episode?
Well, I know tariffs is one of these areas that it seems we all can't wait for that to be behind us, just in terms of the disruption that it's caused to many of our organizations, especially those that do buy from our overseas trading partners. When the Supreme Court came and ruled it unconstitutional, and then now it's working its way through the courts in terms of what a refund would look like. I talked about this on Around the Horn with Kevin Brown and Tom Burton. Admittedly, I don't know exactly how the refund from a legal standpoint is going to play out. That's well above my pay grade, Eric. What I do know is this. Let's say that it comes down and there's a mandate that's laid out saying, okay, the tariff rebates are now going to be paid back all the way through to everybody, and we're going to leave it to the companies to determine the right split there. Inherently, that's an analytics issue. And of all of the work that I've done within distribution, most organizations have underinvested in their data platform, whereby they store data, they track it, and their capability, their analytics muscle. of who is it that's on staff to take that data and go drive something forward in the business to do it. I'm not going to say no one's doing anything, but it's a heavily underinvested area. So one thing that I'll pause out here, and then I'm going to pose a question back to you actually, is if it comes down that, all right, there needs to be refunds that are paid back on these tariffs, and there's some sort of guidance that's given, my bet is that most organizations would say, okay, we now need to go get the data together in order to do the analysis. What do you think about that? Do you think most organizations are first going to have to bring and collect all of the data, or are they sitting on it in a ready, actionable way? What are you seeing?
Yes, I think that you'll find a mix out there. You'd be surprised at how on the ball a lot of fastener companies are, at least the ones that I've been able to talk with and look at how they're doing things. Having said that, there's also a lot of people out there who are sweating hard because I don't think they even got the first leg, up on this whole thing. And I think, frankly, those are the guys that we're really talking to here because they're the ones who feel like they're really at risk of getting way left behind. So one of my follow-up questions for you was going to be, what should we be doing right now to position ourselves? And it sounds like the answer to that is start formatting your data to make it approachable.
Yeah. And what I find is when we talk about data cleanup exercises, those inherently, like by themselves, disconnected from any other activity, they do not have value. So I'm not a fan of doing a data cleanup or bringing your data together or just the kind of catch-all when we talk about an AI tool that garbage in, garbage out. I don't think those are helpful in 2026. Rather, what I would say is when we have a business problem to go solve for, in this case, how do we allocate our refunds potentially coming back from the tariffs? First thing that I would do is go through and catalog what are all of the inputs whereby we can start to put this data together. What did we pay out? What are the actual invoices that we paid? What are our transactions that we had? Do we have a record of how cost changes were actually put into the system? Do we have a record from our suppliers and also from our customers where our suppliers pass costs on to us and then we pass them on to the customers? All of that comes into play. First thing is a very basic one is to catalog all of those inputs. An interesting use of an AI tool is if you don't know what those inputs are and you're trying to brainstorm with them, rather than hire a consultant, and I apologize to my consulting friends in the industry, go to an AI tool and say, this is what I'm dealing with. Turn on thinking mode in Claude or in ChatGPT and say, I need to put these inputs together. I need to build out a data model. What is that going to look like? And you will be amazed at what it comes back with. So using AI as a thinking partner is going to be number one there. Number two, most organizations are likely going to, in distribution, are going to think that this is an Microsoft Excel-based activity, that all of this data, and we need to build out these formulas in these areas in order to measure this all the way through. This is likely going to outpower what Excel is capable of. But that said, your second action, once you have your inputs, I want you to take all of those, and then I want you to say, I need to build out a tariff refund rebate modeler in Excel. And I would recommend that you only do this in Claude and tell it what you want to do, that you're not exactly sure. You want to determine how you're going to pay this back. What are the percentages? You want some guidance. You want to pull from best practices. And then let that thing run for 8 to 10 minutes. And it will build you out a really great proof of concept tool that you could use to start modeling. You're then going to go and iterate on this. I have some other things to share here. Eric, in your experience, how many of the companies that we're talking to here are going to be using Excel as their primary analysis tool versus something like SQL or Python or something like that?
Well, as you can imagine, I think a lot of them. I mean, I don't have a number for you, but it's huge out there. We're talking about an industry that has a lot of small and mid-size operators, so that's who we're talking to.
Yeah, and what's neat is Claude, a tool by Anthropic, got really good over the last 3-4 months at working with Excel data. ChatGPT is starting to catch up. Microsoft Copilot, unfortunately, is not there yet. So using those tools as a first baseline to actually build out what that function is great to get a vision. This is where it starts to get fun and where AI plays into this.
Hey, Nick, there have been a lot of announcements in the last couple of weeks about the different companies adjusting their pricing models. And as we know, the usage tokens for AI have been heavily subsidized, and the AI bubble and all that is a huge topic in the background of all this, which we're not thinking about right now during this conversation. But my point is, the different subscription models that are out there. Let's see, it was Anthropic had the $200 one, which was the pro level, I believe. Now, what level would be required to do the thing that you're talking about right now?
So what I recommend with any tool, you have to be paying for it. The entry level tool on all of these are going to be between $20 to $30 a month. And so I would say go sign up for Claude, the $20 a month plan. If you're doing anything significant, you're going to run out of capacity and it's going to make you wait another 4 hours. I'm firmly of the belief that we're going to be spending more and more on these intelligent tools to increase our bandwidth. And so you'll expand to a $100 a month plan per person for your analytics team. A day's coming where you're going to be spending $200 a month per person in your analytics team to be doing this, but couple that between hiring another full-time person in order to increase your bandwidth. And so spending $200 versus spending $5,000 to $10,000 on another analyst is what you would want to do there. What I was going to share, Eric, is this is where it gets fun. After you catalog your inputs, clean your data, you have your template within Excel in that, there's really heavy analysis that I would only recommend to the tool Claude that every company who is thinking about this should be looking at. And so what you can then do is after you have your template, you can say, all right, here's my ERP. Here's where these data sources live from. This is the method that I want to go look at. Go build for me an application with the integrations to help manage this. That process is going to take you between 30 to 60 minutes for it to run. Most companies are going to have to graduate out of Microsoft Excel to manage transactions and manage analysis. And you don't need to have a technical person on staff. You just need to have the high agency and the domain wherewithal to know what problem you're solving and then to really go after it. You can still do that in Claude. You may graduate into Claude Code, which I know we're going to talk about here with OpenClaw and some of these other things. But Claude.ai can allow you to do all of that from the input to the first pass modeling, the iteration, and then the actual build out of a tool to help you manage this.
Well, thanks for that walkthrough. I think just in that really short assessment of what should be the first steps, you've opened a lot of people's eyes. And I was really excited to have this conversation for just that reason, because it sounds very reasonable what you're saying. It's not simple, but it's not difficult at the same time. I mean, it's very helpful. So thanks for that.
Yeah, certainly. And what I find, Eric, is most people, once they get exposed to these capabilities, there is a mental wall to push through between hearing this on the Fully Threaded podcast and then going and signing up. If you're listening to this, during the rest of the conversation, literally open up Claude, go sign up for it. It's going to be secure. Go do your independent research to make sure. But if you're paying for it, it's secure. Go start building it. And the only thing I can't take responsibility for is when you're up till 2, 3 a.m. building the types of tools that you've always wanted to for your business. So don't come at me if I cause you to lose sleep because you're so excited.
Yeah. In the early days of video games, I think a lot of listeners are probably not familiar with the game Doom, but there was this term Doom widows because guys would stay up all night building their own WODs, their own universes. And I'm sure that game world is the same today. Now we have AI widows, don't we?
Oh, yeah. No, my wife knows that when I'm working late at night and she hears me talking, it's because she walks in, she goes, "Are you talking to Claude again?" I go, "Oh, yep, there we go."
Yep. All right. Well, let's shift into a related subject. We're on the verge of really breaking it open with the age of local agentic AI. And one of the platforms for this, or the one that I've been paying attention to, is OpenClaw. People are building their own CEOs to run businesses using this platform or this methodology. Break this down for us a little bit. Introduce the audience if they're not aware of what's going on with this movement.
This is such a fascinating time to be in this agentic era of AI. So I break it down like this, Eric. AI is a huge catch-all term for a lot of types of technology. People know the term Gen AI or generative AI, and now we're talking about agentic AI. I simplify it down to this. AI can always analyze data, and it's pretty good at predicting things, like understanding kind of what comes next. Generative AI creates things. Agentic AI does things. And it's that 2-letter word do that has everyone all excited about what's possible here. And so agentic AI has always been a theory. It's been possible, at least publicly, for the last year or so. It really got good when Anthropic released their model Opus 4.5 in November, and then Opus 4.6 in late January, early February. And it's for the first time, an AI tool can go act autonomously on your behalf using the tools that you have access to, using your email, using your calendar, using SharePoint, going in and using PowerPoint, accessing your Amazon account, placing orders, going through your ERP, looking at the screen. It does things like a human does. OpenClaw really took the world by storm in January, including myself. I went out and bought a Mac Mini before they all got sold out.
Yeah, have you seen the prices?
Oh, they're back ordered and everything like that. What's neat about OpenClaw is this. In the world of software, and I'm going to try and make this approachable for the group here. In the world of software, you have a concept called open source. Open source is where many people contribute to a technology platform or library. All of the code is verifiable. Anyone can go in there and review it. It's completely open. OpenClaw, and it went through a couple of names. It was ClaudeBot, and then it was MoltBot for about like 24 hours. We could talk about MoltBook, where AI agents were like making their own Facebook. That was crazy. But OpenClaw, it's essentially a framework whereby you give an AI tool access to your tools and systems, and then you communicate with it through chat, as if there were a human on the other side, whereby that human had the ability to go do things. And so, for example, when I set up my OpenClaw, I followed a path of giving it like low permissions to start, and then you realize you start giving it increasing permissions. I gave it access to my email. I gave it access to my calendar. I gave it access to my call recordings. I gave it access to some internal systems that we use for project management in our CRM. And instead of me having to design out a workflow, literally, Eric, and I do not exaggerate by saying this, I gave it access to those systems. And then I typed on Telegram, which is a messaging app on my phone. And I said, hey, every time I have a meeting, I really struggle at updating my CRM. Can you just go look at my calendar, go take my call recordings, and just go figure out how to update the CRM? And Eric, it now does it. And I don't type notes into my CRM anymore.
Wow.
I'm talking for me personally. And so what's neat about that is it's an AI that has the reasoning to figure out what you need done and then do it. The other neat thing, and then I have a question back to you, is the neat thing about this is it's an AI that wakes up. It wakes up on a schedule that you can set it, and it looks for things to do. It says, okay, what's on Nick's to-do list? It doesn't wait there. It doesn't wait for me to go chat to it. It wakes up on a schedule. We call it a heartbeat. And that opened people's minds, and the world went crazy. Couple that with all of the data lives locally on my separate computer.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a huge, interesting topic for people because, we have the AI overlords that we're all concerned about. So question for you, Eric, in the fastener space, do you think people, who's experimenting with OpenClaw? Who's trying these types of things? Is this something that totally freaks IT teams out? What are we thinking about here?
I think any IT person who's not freaked out doesn't have a pulse, really. But I think that it is in use by some people on the leading edge. And I've talked extensively to a couple of them. I don't know that I necessarily want to mention them quite yet, but there are people who are doing exciting things. And like they're up all night and they're not just messaging their AI, but they're actually receiving messages from the AI, asking follow-up questions on next steps and scenarios that the AI wants to react to. And by the way, they don't just call it my AI or my agent. No, they all have names and personalities. And that's another one of the really weird things about this, Nick. It's getting closer and closer to the point where you can see how these are companions and you're relating to them like you would another person. And even, use your imagination. I don't, again, know that we want to get out of scope here with that part of the conversation, But to answer your question, it is in use, but it's still a newer concept. And let's face it, it's only been around for a few months. I've been watching this YouTube guy. You probably know him very well, Alex Finn. He seems to be at the cutting edge with this. He's really high on the whole Apple framework for it. He likes the, what was the one? You're not using Studio. You're using, what's the other one?
I'm using a Mac Mini, but he uses two Mac Studios. He hooks two Mac Studios together.
Right. So he's a power user. He's turbocharged with it, but that's what he's doing. Do you know off the top of your head, is there a PC or a Linux alternative that people can use if they're not in the Apple world?
Yeah. So we kind of took the conversation in two ways. Let me answer it by saying this. What people are most excited about with OpenClaw is it's an AI that can do things, an AI that can connect to various systems, and that you can message back and forth and tell it to go do increasingly complex things, and it does it. What people are also excited about is it's a bring your own AI type of model. Now, we all know ChatGPT, OpenAI, we know Anthropic and Claude. There's a number of other model providers that are out there, Grok being one of them with XAI. Open source models, where these are they're AI models that you can download and run on hardware, have been out of scope for most people because they've required such an intense amount of compute that you would have to go buy your own NVIDIA GPU and run it, go install it on a machine and run it. That's far beyond the technical specs of most people. Local source models have gotten good enough to the point now that you can go download them and run them on Apple hardware and increasingly on some Windows or Linux type hardware, particularly with Google's model that they released a week ago, Eric, called Gemma. And I don't remember if it's called Gemma 4, but yeah, Gemma 4. And what's fascinating about this is, besides Llama, which Meta put out a while ago, and Llama was good for some basic things, but Gemma is very close to what the leading AI tools are, and it's fully American made. You have DeepSeek, you have GLM, you have Minimax, you have Kimi, you have a number of other Chinese open source models, which are great if you can run them locally on your model. But now we have really good leading US open source. What is tricky is it does require a knowledge of hardware and some technical expertise in order to manage. And so this isn't something that you go plug in an API key and it works out of the box. But it is showing us that open source will continue to be competitive. It's going to continue to get better. And for very sensitive or those who are privacy minded, it is going to be a compelling option.
Well, that's the big one right there. I mean, that's why some of the CEO level people that I talk to are interested in it. And that's been one of the big concerns. So, yeah, this is huge news. I'm sure that during the AI conference in June, this will be covered and a lot is going to unfold in the meantime. But I think we've whet everyone's appetite for this, and we'll all stay tuned for the next step. Let's talk about the next big development. And that was the announcement that came from the NAW. I believe I saw it on LinkedIn first. The distribution at the Crossroads podcast. Wow.
Yes.
This is huge, man.
Yeah, very excited about this. Has been in the work for a while. So appreciative of the partnership that I have with the National Association of Wholesaler Distributors. They are doing so much for the industry in terms of providing spaces for leaders to get together and talk. And what's neat about that is it's cross-vertical. And so you'll go to conferences and there's someone from the fastener industry, or there's someone from industrial safety supplies, there's a food distributor, electrical, chemical. And there's a lot of differences in those business models, but there's also a lot of overlap, which is neat. The idea for this came, Eric, because I've been having conversations, much like we're having now, with leaders who are grappling with AI, yes, but also trying to determine how do we help this 80-year-old company that has been around for 80 years that I am currently the steward over continue for another 80 years? How do I set the organization up to do that? How does the business model need to change? There's a lot of really strong experience and value in learning from that experience that I was having in conversations. And when I would ask if they would be willing to share this publicly, one thing that's neat about this industry is people are willing to give and share and lift others.
So true.
You couple that with, I spend a lot of time with newcomers to the industry, a lot of technology folks, people who've come outside, and I saw an opportunity to accelerate both the diffusion of what executives and people who've been in the industry have done for a long time, and the understanding and kind of learning by osmosis of all these new people, great energy, great ideas, really strong technical skills, that bringing those two things together, having conversations, will drive it forward. So distribution at the Crossroads is meant to provide the conversations around leadership, where the industry has come from, where it's going with technology, people, and process in an effort to help everybody move their companies and their missions in support of the industry along. We've done 4 episodes, have a number of others that'll be coming out. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, a number of other places as well. I'm really pleased with the support so far.
Are you planning on a regular release schedule, or is it going to be sporadic, or what are you envisioning?
So we've released 4 in our initial batch, and we'll be doing 1 to 2 a month. We have a number that are already in the backlog that are ready to be released. And so we'll be looking at doing 1 to 2 a month over the next year. With this being a fellowship project with the NAW, we're scheduled to do it over the next 12 months. And then based off of the feedback we get, what works, we'll determine what the format looks like ongoing. It's always an interview style. So we focus on someone from the industry, what they've been doing, what their background is, and actually had some who are pretty closely involved in the fastener industry or have been throughout their careers. We hit the big red launch button about 2 weeks ago. So they are available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple.
Excellente. We've been talking with Nick Pericle. He's with Tenexity.ai. We haven't talked about that part of his world, but that's another exciting aspect about what Nick's involved in. And of course, I'm looking forward to seeing him and a lot of other really smart AI minds at the Distribution Strategy AI conference happening in June. You can get out to distributionstrategy.com, sign up for that, which I advise everyone to do. Listen to Ian Heller on the last episode for more on that event. Really exciting. And I'm glad to see you out there. Will your dad, Tony, be out there? I got to know.
Pops, when I'm not sure if he's gonna be there. I may have him come along. Maybe he can be my helping hand in the workshop we have.
He's doing some really interesting things, man.
Oh,
that guy.
he is.
Hey, I'm going to let you get out of here, Nick, and I really appreciate you talking with us. And I know that a lot of people, they have their eyes open at this point, but I got to throw one thing at you really quick. And I know you don't have much time, so it's going to be a hot take.
Hit me.
Anthropic last week dominated the headlines with their release of Mythos. Okay, so this is an AI model that is allegedly capable of all kinds of autonomous mischief in the realm of penetrating computer operating systems. And I mean, the headlines were absolutely blood-curdling. I didn't look deeply into it. I got to say, I'm a little bit on overload. You got anything you can drop on us on that?
Some quick thoughts, Eric. First is AI's best capability sitting here in mid-April 2026 is writing code. It's not analyzing data. It's not summarizing emails, doing meeting notes. It is writing code. Turns out when you get really, really good at writing code, you also get really, really good at breaking into code, which is what Anthropic announced with their Mythos model and now what they're calling Project Glasswing. I'll share this. We're about to enter a period of acceleration in terms of what AI can do that even I can't begin to fully fathom what this is going to look like, how quickly this is going to go. The capabilities that we already have right now would take years for companies to determine and figure out how to integrate into it. I'm convinced that the big problems, the big technical issues that we've had within our companies, the opportunities that, man, if we could only find a software, integrate that or build that, that's going to become very, very easy very, very soon. So I'm excited for what that progress is going to look like moving forward.
All right. I don't know what I expected you to say in about the last closing 30 seconds, but good job on that. Nick Pericle, catch him on the Distribution at the Crossroads podcast. That's new in partnership with the NAW, and he's also at Tenexity.ai. Thanks, Nick.
Eric, thanks so much, man.
Once you're in this industry, you're not getting out. Good thing there's Fully Threaded Radio. Talk radio for the fastener industry.
Rock rebels and industrial icons, it's time to crank that volume to 11. EuroLink is taking the world stage to celebrate their 25th anniversary tour. You've heard our monster singles, Rock Solid Metric Fasteners, Shut Up and Surface, Never a No Quote Jungle, GM Quality Metric Parts with lightning fast delivery. Join the EuroLink tour. We're here to rock your metric fastener world. EuroLink, 25 years of rockin' hard to find metric fasteners delivered.
Looking for the latest innovations in fastener technology? Then mark your calendar for Fastener Fair USA, May 5th and 6th at the Charlotte Convention Center. Meet leading manufacturers, discover cutting-edge solutions, and connect with industry peers from across the supply chain. Kick things off at the opening night networking party at the iconic NASCAR Hall of Fame. Plus, you'll have access to the Aluminum Executive Summit, a 2-day program delivering actionable insights into aluminum market dynamics and strategic decision-making. Register now at FastenerFairUSA.com. We'll see you in Charlotte this May.
Need weld fasteners? Look no further than Brighton Best for a full lineup of weld fasteners, stocked across our regional warehouses and ready to ship today. What's available? Headed weld studs from 3/8 up to 7/8, CD studs in mild steel, stainless steel, and aluminum, both made in the USA. Weld nuts in multiple styles including hex and spot weld, both domestic and import available from stock. Looking for something we don't stock? Our mill sourcing team has you covered, including parts made to print. Your account manager is ready to help, or visit us at brightonbest.com and get what you need.
This is Rick Porter with Mid-Valley Distributors, the largest stocking distributor of fasteners in Central California. If we don't have it, weld it. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Bri, did you get the Vegemite ordered for Charlotte? Are we good with that?
I have enough, but it has been a dwindling demand, I have to say, okay?
What?
I know. Clearly we're not getting the word out. Or people say, I already had tasted it, I don't like it. I mean, how could they say that either? Really?
All right, well, I wasn't expecting it. We'll talk about this offline. Brian and Eric back with you, mostly 100% organic, despite some AI conversation. Because that goes without saying, Bri, for the moment.
Yeah. We'd be the only people in the world who weren't talking about it.
Yes. But I think after folks hear what Nick Pericle and others like him are saying, it's hard to ignore.
Right. Or after you've used it and found it can be sort of useful.
Well, the price of Mac Minis is gone through the roof. I mean, that is really the setup that people are recommending to do these local agentic OpenClaw platforms. So the demand is just going crazy.
And Apple's noted that they have the delivery time of the higher end. It's the new little Mac Mini. The higher end one's 48 gigabytes to 64 gigabytes. It's the max you can possibly get. It's gone out to 5 months.
Wow. Well, this is breathing new life into Apple. I don't know if they were expecting this or not. This is just one of these windfalls. But you, as a longtime Apple guy, you've got to be just laughing to yourself. Finally, all these years of suffering through it, and you're in the catbird seat now.
Yeah, well, my Mac isn't quite big enough to run the stuff on it. Mine's about the max you can go with ordinary memory.
Which is what?
24 gigabytes.
Well, that's perfectly adequate to get started. I mean, they say if you can, 32 meg is good. And I'm talking only about running OpenClaw on a local device here. That's all we're really talking about. But yeah. 24 will do it.
They recommend bigger, the 48 version. Anyway, whatever.
All right. Well, I've got ChatGPT open on my screen right now, and he says 24 is fine, 32 if you can do it. I know 48. More is always better, Bri.
Yeah, I know, especially with memory.
And with Vegemite, too. So I don't want to, pound on it, but come on, man.
I have to go and look at my supply of Vegemite, I must say.
I'd like to thank Nick Pericle of Tenexity.ai for helping us along the learning curve. Also, Jake Ace Valdez Davis with BTM Manufacturing and Matt Delawder of SWD for helping us kick things off today. They're working super hard behind the scenes to get everything ready for the big MWFA event later this year. That's going to be a blowout, sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tim O'Keeffe with Huyett joined Mike McNulty today. Great job, guys. Carmen Vertullo had the Fastener Training Minute, and Marco Rodriguez brought us the Industrial Real Estate Update, which is really the icing on the cake this time, Bri, considering all the invisible cash that people are now going to be finding on the warehouse floors. If you skipped over that one, circle back, go listen to Marco.
Right.
He'll dial you in. And we hope you're dialed in to the partners of Fully Threaded Radio. They make it all possible. The title sponsors, Star Stainless Screw, and Brighton Best International. Fully Threaded Radio is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Global Fasteners, InSequel Software, Fastener Technology International, Cressa, J-Land Franco, MW Components, Solution Industries, 3Q Inc., Volt Industrial Plastics, and Worth Industry USA. Our email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. You can catch us that way. Brian and I are also out on LinkedIn. And if you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe, drop us a review, share it with your friends. Helps us out a lot. So, Brian, one of your great helpers has been Claude the last couple of months. And, we were talking about Doom widows and Open Claw widows when we were talking with Nick. I felt like a Claude widow from time to time lately with you being so immersed in all of it. But today, we're recording this on April 15th, which is an infamous day if you live in the U.S. And I saw a headline flash by that Claude actually came to its knees today. And it's widely speculated that that's because last-minute tax preparers are using it to try and scramble in, beat the deadline. And I guess you noticed this morning you were not aware that it was related to that, but what happened?
Well, I was actually getting it to redesign an email form and normally just feed it through code and stuff like that and whatever. And nothing happened. It just went up and kept the little wee red star thing, kept going round. And you can tell when it isn't working because it repeats the prompt, leaves the prompt sitting there. And so I said, well, what's going on? You can't reply to the question. And it just this message flagged up saying, temporarily, the system is unavailable, which I've never seen before.
Yeah. So I can imagine all these CPAs around the country have smoke coming out of their ears today. And Claude was doing the same thing. Everybody at Anthropic was freaking out, and they dropped a whole bunch of statuses, and they were just saying, hey, man, it's just not working. We're going to update you later. I didn't see that it's in the clear yet, so I don't know.
I think it's working. It sent an answer back about an hour ago. So don't rely on artificial intelligence on tax day.
Well, we're into new territory with all this, so we're all learning as we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully you picked up a few tips on today's episode, and we'll be back in the near future with another one. I think the next one, Bri, we're going to have some interviews from the show floor in Charlotte at Fastener Fair USA. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you out there. If not, then we'll be able to give you a little taste of it.
Yeah, make sure you stop by.
But not a taste of Vegemite, perhaps, it sounds like.
Well, there's always Vegemite around, okay.
All right, well, I'm not taking it for granted, so I'm counting on you.
Right. There will be some, don't worry, okay?
Appreciate you listening into the podcast, folks. With that, we're going to put this one in the can. For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, get your taxes in, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, free up Claude for me, okay?
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.
That is a bent freaking bolt.